Hello and welcome to the Table's Edge, a Spectre Operations and other modern wargames podcast. My name is Evil Dan, and I'm here with my friend Ben.
Oh man, do we gotta do this every time, Dan?
I'm Evil Dan. I don't know this Dan.
Hey, Evil Dan, get back in the basement and we're gonna tell Mom.
Alright.
Don't move! Don't fucking move! Put your hands in the air! Put your hands in the air! Put them up! Get on your knees! Hey!
I'm sorry, it's my evil twin brother from the basement. I got some beers and I forgot to lock the door.
Yeah, you really gotta lock that door. Every time we try and do this, he comes up.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. I don't know how we've managed to get it out of the previous episodes, but good editing, Dan, because he is here every time.
He's a sneaky one. And I don't know why he knows the password to my computer. It's pretty weird.
Yeah, hopefully you don't find anything weird in your search history, other than, metal miniatures, because who does that these days?
Or the Combat Octopus secretary.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a little bit since we recorded.
Yeah, it's been busy weeks, months.
Yeah.
And it's hard to catch up.
Yeah. Well, and Dan and I are 7 hours apart, so
Yeah.
Luckily you're a night owl, so
Yeah.
that kind of works out in our favor. But yeah, it's kind of hard with two people's lives, coming and going. But we're here, and we're ready to talk about some modern wargaming.
Yes, and we're ready.
Probably some other stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. Actually, we're going to do the other modern wargames today.
Yes. Probably nearly most of it, but we don't want to spoil anything. So,
Yeah, we won't spoil anything.
hobby update, Mr. Ben.
All right, so I'll try and make this quick because I apparently have a history of making these a little bit longer.
But they're
than I need
interesting.
to, but they're interesting. Hopefully for other people. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be doing it if it didn't interest me too. But whatever. Anyway, so I've had a project that I've been working on for the past couple months. Well, by working on, I mean it's been sitting on my hobby desk, and that's my deniable operators. I think I might have mentioned that in episode 2, maybe even episode 1.
Yeah.
But it's a team comprised of some Spectre deniable operators. And then there's also a Footsore North America or Special Artisan Miniatures. Or is it Special Artisan Service Miniatures? Yeah, SAS.
SASM.
So, SASM. And then 2 hostages and a sheik. So it's a bunch of dudes who are in plain clothes with hiking gear on, basically, with Eastern weapons. And there's a couple guys with, there's one with a submachine gun and one with an M4 platform rifle. So, ready for sneaky missions. I haven't used them in a game yet, but I'm excited about that. So, I finally got those finished up, and they are not staring at me anymore. So, I guess that's a good way to motivate myself, is just leave stuff on my desk till I just get annoyed.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else have I done? I printed some 3D prints, like always, a lot of Combat Octopus stuff, and a bunch of stuff from the M. I'm finally moving forward on my African market. So I printed off a whole bunch of goodies for market stalls and for the side of buildings. It's pretty weird, but the one thing that has really pushed me back on this project is I could not find little power boxes anywhere. And I tried making them out of Legos because I saw someone do that, and it turned out all right, but I just was not happy with them. So apparently that's how I roll. I just will leave a project staring at me till I find the right parts. See my Jungle project for other examples.
Yeah.
But the M has cranked out a bunch of stuff to attach to buildings, and it was the perfect fit. I'm like, yes. I may have had planted some ideas or something in his head, but he blew it out of the water. These little power boxes actually he modeled it so you could have a magnet. What is it? A 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter magnet. And you can attach one to a little switch, and then you can actually throw the switch up and down if you want objectives for a game. They're crazy small, so I don't know if I'll do that, but there's the option. So I printed some of that stuff off, and I also printed off some miniatures for Zona Alpha, which I'm sure we're going to do an episode on at some point.
Well, you did? I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. I printed off some of the generic baddies. So I found like some rat wolves and some mutated dogs, some zombies of varying sizes. Some are like really stick figure, like shriveled up types, and then there's the big ass zombie from turn-based miniatures.
Oh yeah.
I also printed up some of the like cordon police from his Russian range. I think they're the Gorka.
Oh yeah.
The Gorka coded guys. Yeah. So
Cool.
I got a group of them to be some baddies. Now I'm just looking for some more bandit types. But I also printed off some like stalker heroes. Again, using the turn-based miniatures after the fall guys and some of their the low-tech PMZs.
Yeah, the VIP ones.
Yeah, the VIP escort. Yeah, those are really cool. So I just switched around. I put some gas mask heads on them. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about those. Other than that, I started to paint some more moderns, some African militia. Adding to that, I have like 13 or 14 I need to do for my goal for the end of the year of 20 painted. So I have a batch of 5 that I'm working on right now. So that's going pretty well. I want to do different types of camouflage on each of them. So they're not really a set of miniatures that you can batch paint. You kind of have to, maybe do 1 or 2 in the same camouflage or whatever, and then move to a different camouflage, and then shirts and the gear and mismatched. So they kind of take time, and I'm okay with that because I'm going to keep them forever, hopefully.
Hopefully.
And yeah, they're going pretty well. So other than that, I printed and painted some World War II stuff, which I have used for Spectre in the past. And I think we'll probably talk about bolt action or chain of command in the future, because I kind of lump that in with the modern, even though it's kind of its own genre.
Yeah.
But anything World War II and to current. So I have a whole bunch of Soviets that I'm working on for an event that's coming up. So I painted a batch of those, like city fighters with shovels and all the goodies, throwing grenades and some machine guns aplenty. So yeah, it's been a pretty productive month and a half since we talked last.
Hey guys, this is post-edit Dan, and just to clarify some things, this recording is from end of April this year, so yeah, it's not the most current status of the hobby update, just so you know. But the next one is just around the corner. Hopefully. Probably. Yeah, did you have any games? You had some games also.
Oh, I did. I had a couple bolt action games. My buddy Drew invited me over for a Fortress Budapest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all with the beautiful table. Yeah, you posted that on Instagram, I remember.
Yeah, he's got a lot of terrain. It was actually old 40K terrain that he's had kicking around for like 20 years. He said he just gave it new life by adding some more period-specific things. He actually printed off a bunch of different signs in different languages. So like he had Hungarian, so he could have Budapest, and he has it in German, so he can have Berlin, and he has Soviet stuff, so it can be
cool.
In Russian acrylic, so he can place it there. So that was a pretty good move on his part, but it's cool seeing the little posters here and there in different languages. Let's see. I don't recall that.
I think you had the Spectre game. Yeah, they had the small Spectre game with someone who was then all in.
Yeah, well, I think I had mentioned I played a game with a new friend, and I'm going to need you to edit this out because I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
It's perfect for not edit it out.
I know, right? But I would feel bad because he's going to be like, oh man, obviously that meant a lot to you. Nah, he's cool. Let me look at him.
Yeah, I think I know. It's the guy with the cowboy hat on the Discord, isn't it? His profile picture, maybe.
Yes. Michael.
Yeah, was him. Yeah. So I was right with that.
Yeah, I played 2 games with my new buddy Michael, and that was a lot of fun. It was kind of an intro game for him. He brought some of the insurgent. It's not the PMCs, but the insurgent kill team. So we played on a 2x2 board, a game where they were trying to steal a hostage from another group of rebels. They wanted the political prisoner for themselves. So it was a fun game, especially because we were playing on a 2x2 board. We each had, he had 6 guys and I had probably
8?
10, but 8 to 10, yeah. And it was a lot of fun. His guys actually had a drone that was a bomb drone, which ended up kind of coming in handy with my guys because the hostage was in one of 3 spots. And, my intent was to have him use the drone to kind of scout around and see. But it also had a grenade on it. So that's what it ended up being used for. But they ended up finding the hostage on the 3rd story of a building. And I had 2 trained guards, and the rest of my force was militia. And he took care of the militia rabble in the streets pretty easily. But the trained guards kind of gave him a little bit of a hard time. And he actually went up to that 3rd story, threw a flashbang, and it flashed the guys. And he killed one outright, and the other one he mortally wounded. Well, he took the hostage and then went down a flight of stairs, and then my mortally wounded guy crawled over and threw his assault rifle over the side and took a shot and killed one of his guys. So they didn't think that was too funny, so they flew the drone up there and blew him up because he was behind him. And then there was another 2 that had come, and they were on the 1st floor, some of my militiamen, and they were shooting up. So there was kind of a run and gun battle. But it was a really good game. Pretty cinematic. All the minis were painted. Perfect. And and I got to try out my 2x2 board that I built. And it worked out really well, so I'm excited to use that some more. Second game we played, we had some extra time. So we played, I brought out my PMC group, and it was a 6-on-6. I think everybody was trained. And the goal was to get to the 3rd story of a building in the middle of the board and secure the drugs that were on the top floor, the bunch of cocaine. And there was 2 or 3 guards guarding the stash of drugs. But basically we ended up both surrounding the buildings from opposite sides and then kind of having a shooting match on the 1st floor. And the guards were killed and kind of the whole thing. And my guys ran in. His guys sat at the gate and the door, and they were kicking at it, but they couldn't get the door to open. And my guys kicked the door open on the 1st go. And of course, I shoved my guys in the door, and that's when he was able to open his door, and they unloaded on my guys who were kind of in the middle of the room. So he was able to run up to the 3rd floor with me following close behind. And he ended up actually finding some rope in the top story, and he belayed off the side of the building while my guys ran around to try and catch him as he was midair. But actually, man, it was brutal. The suppression in that game was crazy. I had a group of 3 guys that was pinned down behind a couch, and they would not pass a command test to become, a level up. And I think they were sitting at they couldn't run any further. So they were routed at one point, and they were just hunkering down behind this couch, and they wouldn't do anything. So basically half of my guys were useless for most of the game, which is good for him. Yeah. But his guy belayed off the third floor balcony, and he kind of got caught midair as my guys were running around the side, but both of them missed their shots. And he was able to run off with the stash of coke. His last remaining guy just sprinted off. It was a fun game, and it was a little different because the whole goal was not to shoot at each other, was to get this. It's kind of like a capture the flag, capture the coke. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to more games with Mike in the future. Kind of like you said, he went hog wild. So he's all in. He's played actually a couple games, I think, with he's got an adult son, and his wife actually played a game with him. He shot me some pictures. So maybe that's still one of my projects that I'm working on. I actually have all the pictures imported for a little battle report. I just have to narrate it. So that'll happen sometime in the future if I can get my act together and rock and roll on that. We'll see.
Yeah.
No promises, because obviously past Dan is a liar.
Yeah.
Future Dan, he's the one to listen to. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to. I mean, it's been a long time since we talked, and I feel like I'm probably missing some stuff, but it's been a pretty good month and a half for printing miniatures, painting miniatures. I played a couple games. Just kind of working down my goals too. So how about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I had 2 weeks of holiday, and I had planned actually to pull out a lot of painted miniatures and do something more shop related for the miniature shop I have. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I got sick first week. I was mostly in bed and lingering on the couch as usual, no work. Then the body can say, "All right, I get sick now."
Yeah,
but
right. It's time to relax,
but it kind of. I still managed to paint the Combat Octopus Robbers and Gunman, which are pretty cool. I still have to post those on Instagram. I'm slow on that side. I'm sorry. I will post them probably later. No promises. No, I will. Ben will already looking
Fruit of the Loom crew,
very
right?
grim at me with his finger up. But yeah, I managed to paint that, and we started actually the second week of my holiday was the first week where we had our midweek meet up in the Discord, to throw this quickly in. So yeah, like long story short, we just had a more or less a vote that we will do 1 week where we can meet up and everybody hangs out in the Discord and everybody does his own projects. So like a motivator, maybe stream it on camera and everything. And I think it went pretty well. Like there's a core group, I would say, that is already present.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we took a vote kind of Discord wide, and it seems that Wednesday is the day that most people are able to meet up. Doesn't mean that other people can't, turn on their camera and chit chat or whatever you want to do whenever. The more people, the merrier. Throwing out the hobby vibes. But yeah, Wednesday is the day that we kind of set up an event, and I think the first day I was able to listen in a little bit. You guys had like 10 people in there?
Yeah,
10,
I think
people,
12 was the peak, because obviously people are coming and going since we have so many time zones. I was like from start until 4 in the morning, and I had holidays, so I could do it. But this was pretty exciting and cool also to, people which we are already writing in text form, talking over a few weeks, to finally like talk with them with the voice, and even maybe sharing some video feed of ourselves, which was very nice. But yeah, this is going now, I think the 5th week already passed.
And it's cool because it's not just like, miniature painting. We have a couple guys who are doing some 3D sculpting they're sharing their screens, with us. Some online games too, here and there. It's just cool to see what everybody's nerding out with.
Yeah, it's funny. It's actually pretty often like the 50-50 of 3D designing stuff and actual painting. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, this helped me personally a lot to get my painting going, because as everybody knows probably, it's like, yeah, I'm excited for painting, and then you come home and you're tired, you have your dinner, sit on the couch, fall asleep, or like, yeah, just like the initial thing. So, and for me this Wednesday is like I need to show up and I need to appear. So this helps me a lot. And I managed now to, as I said, paint the Robbers and Gunmen, which are 8 guys. I managed to paint the KSK from Combat Octopus. Made just a 4 team in Flecktown, which was, they're really, I mean, I have to be honest, I wasn't really excited for KSK because German army and stuff is not, like, if you remember, nothing which makes me go stiff, if I can say so. But man, I really, really fell in love with what I managed to paint there and like figuring out the flag turn. Yeah, so
Yeah, they look good.
will.
That's a very challenging. It's challenging to get it to look right at that scale.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate
Yeah, they look great.
the heads off from you. But yeah, I was like also experimenting. I found a guide from. We had some guys doing it, and some got the AK paints, and I don't have the AK paint, so I was just doing some experiment on a paper, on a thick paper, so I can see which colors works great, and just went with it. And I will post pictures definitely on Instagram after the podcast. I promise. This one I promise. Yeah. And of course I finished the Spectre miniatures, which I posted already on Instagram. The 7 one with the advisor, the general, the Adepticon mini, and like some other ones, which was good. So I checked them. I think I checked them already off my Notion list. Yeah, so this was really cool. And the Wednesday kept on going, and I managed to paint up the Common Octopus African Militants or Militia, the first release one. Really nice. And I have to say, I got infected with the Africa bug. I was like really strong not to get excited for it. And this, I don't know, I really fell in love with the red sand and dirt, earth. This is really nice. And yeah, I painted them plain in just like green uniform stuff.
I gotta say, it's pretty hard to not be into Africa at the moment, just because of all the releases.
Yeah.
Between Combat Octopus and Miska and Turn Base.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of goodies out there, and more to come.
Yeah, and also like the current political situation in Europe with the war, like I'm absolutely not interested in doing anything in this direction, which was like my main focus, Eastern Europe. But I'm really, I don't want to do anything. Just felt just doesn't feel right. So yeah. I'm embracing Africa. And yeah, and I managed to continue on this Wednesday show up paint job stuff. I managed to finish last Wednesday the new African militia from Command Octopus, the expansion guys, which are 2 RPG with AK or assault rifle guys, 1 more NCO type, and 1 pretty cool stance hip firing LMG guy. And yeah, really excited. So I got already 10 African militia guys, so I could start a game right now. And yeah, during my holidays, I started with my pretty big ambitious project to turn my 3D printed Pavlov's house into a modern terrain thing, or like building, because I had intended it for bolt action, and the bolt action building rules are like binary, so either you're in or you're out, and it's kind of shame because I remodeled the complete interior of this building, so you have like stairs in separate rooms, and yeah, so I told, okay, then it will be a Pavlov's dorm, inspired by the Escape from Tarkov dorm on the customs map. So it has like this yellowish and thing. Obviously it's not really, but yeah, kind of like this. And yeah, when I started painting and everything, I went into the interior building, and I'm kind of started exaggerating, overdoing it a bit. So I thought,
really?
Yeah,
you think so?
Yeah, I thought it's like a 3-day project at most, and I think it was the week where I was sick and sitting on the couch every day doing. I started putting on wallpaper, which is like half falling off and broken because the building is not the like it's more for Zona Alpha thinking, but also so you can use it in a Eastern European, maybe even in an African town. I'm not sure. Maybe I play with the dirt a bit that it's 50-50.
It's hot. I'm so jealous that I can't actually touch that thing.
Oh, you will one day.
Yeah, one day. Yeah. One day you'll let me touch your Pavlov's.
Yeah.
Dorm.
The big P.
The big P.
Yeah, but I'm really excited. I have it on the table already. I think I posted a picture on Instagram. I did. Yeah. So no, I didn't. Damn it!
No, in the Discord. Yeah, you share a lot in the Discord. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's easier, Yeah, we posted as well. Yeah, it's still a work in progress, so I have no idea. So actually, it's not it's a hobby update, but it's not a finished hobby.
You did a lot of work on it, though. And that's another opportunity. The M, I don't know. Sorry to interject this, but it made me think of this. He came up with this pack of stuff for buildings, right? And one of them is toilets and sinks. So I was like, I ran a whole thing of toilets on my printer. I never thought that I would be excited to print off toilets and sinks, but I was so stoked about that. I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, crap. Now I have to actually like put rooms in my buildings. Like, otherwise there's just it's gonna be like a prison cell with just a toilet in the freaking corner.
Exactly.
But you have it, so I mean, you can definitely use that in there.
Yeah, I did as well on the Path of Storm. I separated the rooms because they were like, if you put it in realistic perspective, something of 5 by 3 meter rooms, so they're quite big. And I just made some random, like it's a dorm, so everybody has their own room and some separation. But yeah, I bought it just a week before from Blackside Studio. They have a few of modern interior things, and they're pretty cheap for like, I don't know, $3 to $5.
Yeah, for an STL.
Yeah, it's like a set always. It's like, I don't know, living room, bedroom, kitchen. The kitchen, I was really pissed. So Blackside Studio, why is there no fridge in the kitchen set? This was really like, what? It's like the centerpiece in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But besides that, and I got the toilets. And yeah, I think I talked with the M and maybe he got inspired. But I mixed the toilets, so it's pretty nice. But yeah, I felt the same. Like, I was never so excited and never thought printing bloody toilets. Yeah. Really.
Closer and closer to dollhouses, aren't we?
Yeah, that's true. Can't wait when we can... we cut up with paper like the dresses for our miniatures.
And Mr. Silverpants gets a blue hat.
Exactly. Yeah, we could do that actually with magnetized hats.
Let's not go down that road. Let's not. That's
yeah. So yeah, that's like for the building stuff and talking about Africa. No, I actually have to go there and then later. No, I can already start. Never mind. I have a buddy who's kind of interested now. I play with him bolt action a lot, and he's interested in modern. He's not interested in Spectre really, because I played with him version 1, and it really left a bad taste in the mouth because I didn't understand the game back then really good, and so explaining it to other person, it was not a fun experience. But I will try to play Spectre with him, something very simple. But like he asked me, what are other games that are modern and like platoon sized more or less? So he wanted like a modern bolt action, but with a more, spice in it. So I suggested to him we could try Skirmish Sanguine because he's a big role playing game fan, and Skirmish Sanguine got this little role playing elements. And Skirmish Sanguine has a very nice Africa book with some very nice scenarios and pictures and even guides on building terrain. So I snagged that one up in PDF form. Also a good friend, Michael Charge, he did a nice, very easy scenario for it, which will probably be my first game in Skirmish Sanguine. It's a PMC game with 4 PMCs and 1 VIP, and they try to escort a guy, and they get like ambush, and the other guys need to capture this VIP, and the PMCs with the VIP need to exterminate all the ambushes. So pretty easy. And it fits perfect because I have my African militia guys painted up, so on point. Yeah. So Skirmish Sanguine soon. I need to read the rules. This is the biggest hurdle to overcome, obstacle. And speaking about this, I had 2 Zona Alpha games from our Contraband campaign with that mentioned buddy where we talked about the Skirmish Sanguine stuff. And this was pretty fun because it was like I got like a message on WhatsApp or whatever, like, hey, we're gonna meet up on the weekend, some barbecue and playing some Zona Alpha. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I was like, oh, I didn't plan anything for the further missions. from our campaign, like introduction campaign we were playing. So I was like quick trying to figure something out. I asked in the Discord, in the Zona Alpha channel, and I think the names, our Calvin,
Yep.
Locksmith, yeah. He's a funny guy. I really like him. No homo. Maybe
Maybe
homo.
a little bit. That's okay.
Yeah. No, he's really funny, and he had like this funny idea with something about because I think it was even when toilets got released from M. He was like, what about the last working toilet in the zone, and you have to go there and take a dump in the toilet, something like this. And then it kind of escalated with the ideas and everything. It ended up that the M made some toilet paper stacks in STL to print off, and even like a safe where there is toilet paper inside, and the safe obviously with 1mm magnets as well. You can open up the door. He put it up. It also fitted really good to 1st April, April Fool's joke, 1st of April. And yeah, I printed it off. I got it and printed it off. Pinned it last minute on Saturday morning up, and made on the go the mission. And the mission was like the rations went bad, and we had ate them.
Got food poisoning.
Food poisoning, and since we had like this radiation medication which takes the taste away, so we didn't notice, and then it started rumbling in the tummy, and we needed to find urgently a toilet. But since we are like so sophisticated stalkers, we only use the very soft, expensive toilet paper, not like the Soviet Union style raspy, cheap one-layer toilet paper.
Yeah.
So we had to first look for the toilet paper, and I made up like 5 tokens. Which one had a marking below, since I was playing too, and I didn't want to spoil the experience. And I placed the 5 tokens in different buildings and floors, mixed them up, and then
only one had the toilet paper.
Yeah, and only one was where the safe was located. So my buddies didn't even know that there was a safe. They just we need to search for the toilet paper. So when we found the safe, or like one of my friends, 3 guys, we were playing, me and 2 others, each had 1 miniature. It's pretty fun. When we found the safe, I put it out. I took it out from the box and put it in the building, and everyone was like, "What's this?" And I showed them in the hand and everything, the safe. I said, "Okay, now we need to break open the safe. Crack it open." And I made up like it's a difficult task, so you need a lot of rolls and everything. And it kind of felt, because it was funny, because they were making the jokes like, "Oh, we are looking for this cheap Soviet Union paper," because one of my friends, he's born in the Soviet Union, so first-hand experience probably. And then it made sense that the nice toilet paper is hidden in a very strong safe. Yeah, this was really funny. And then we managed to get the toilet paper and run on the toilet and take our turns to defile it. Yeah.
And nobody died?
No, actually nobody died, yeah. One guy died on the bridge because he got ambushed by some some bandits. And he was
apparently they weren't the only ones with the idea for using this toilet paper, huh?
Yeah, to fight over the toilet paper. But well, that's the thing. In contraband, you can't die. You can just be incapacitated, and then you can be revived or get up on the feet with some health medipacks stuff. But it was pretty funny because after we finished with the toilets, there came up a big ass mutant, and he was like charging towards us to the toilet, and we had to mow him down. And then we were like discussing like, maybe we mistaken him, and he just also needed to go to the toilet. Yeah, over a very fun mission.
Are we the baddies?
Yeah. And then we had a second game, which I really made up on the spot because I thought we'd just play one game. We had something other planned, but they had so much fun. So this was like just an easy industrial area with some train depot, and I had like the missions that the narrative was, we found in the first game a notebook with notes from a stalker guy who saw the golden orb, like this mythical anomaly which grants every wishes, which maybe if you have read the book Roadside Picnic, something you are familiar with. And yeah, so however, in this notes was written like that in the industrial area on one of the roofs, which are strangely everywhere anomalies, is this golden orb. So I just took 3 of the tokens I had before made and put them on the roofs with anomalies, and we had to get there and get on the roof. So to make things a little bit more interesting, to get on the roof, you need to get some type of ladder to get up. And I brought in my box level crossing for the train, and there are like 2 like barriers things which could be used as ladders. So, and that was like the thing, we had to grab them with 2 guys and bring them over, mount up the ladder, get up, inspect the anomaly, and if it's the orb, then we just need to roll a will check, and then they can touch it. And yeah, this was kind of also very nice, but not so exciting like the toilet one. But yeah, I share some pictures as well. So this week,
that board looked really cool. Yeah. I really liked the train yard. They're like mutant with the rat dogs.
Yeah, rat dogs are like Soviet ghoul mutant things, and yeah,
roaming around the train yard. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, the only thing with Zona Alpha, if I can throw it quickly in, it's for me personally, it was a bit underwhelming, the game. It was really easy, so there was no big challenge. So the nature, like I started to tinker around with the rules, made up a Notion page. We should call Notion. Maybe they can sponsor us a bit, because we're talking so much about them. Yeah.
Right, too bad it's free.
It's
too bad it's free already.
Yeah, that's true. But they have paid plans. But yeah, whatever. So yeah, I'm planned to doing an enhancement thing, but I will talk about it in another episode when I got something more done. So yeah, hobby update. Now I've talked a lot about it, but that's it more or less. I can't wait for next Wednesday, which is in 2 days, where I will paint the Combat Octopus Eastern European thugs, which are also very attractive.
Okay, now that you brought that up, I have to bring up Michael Charge's what he did with the Eastern European thugs. Mm-hmm. So he took the Eastern European thugs and he stuck the MENA civilian heads on there, and he's using them. He's got the fictional country Bazistan, and he's using them as counter-espionage agents. So like the super stereotypical, like walking behind the main character with their hands in their pockets with, the AK in the trunk, and they just smoking as they're walking behind you, and then all of a sudden it all goes off and there's pistols and some machine guns everywhere. And he nailed it with these guys. Like, I want like 10 of them just because they're so useful. Like, they're kind of like a multiplier. You have your militia, but then these guys are like, they're trained, and they reminded me a lot of FOTA. Those guys were, they're not all kitted out. Like, they're just rolling with a pistol and compact rifles or whatever have you, maybe a grenade or 2 in the pockets of the jacket, right? In a leather jacket. But yeah, he nailed it. So it's really cool to see what people are taking. And I don't know if Stan had ever thought that someone would take those bodies and those heads and, and then all of a sudden you got this completely new set that's in its own right, like really cool, So I just had to throw out a quick thing to Michael. I sent him a personal message. I'm like, those are super cool. Like, it's motivating me to print some more stuff. So he laughed at me.
It's actually, it's bad. It's not good. If I look at my print pile,
I have too much.
What he really made is, because Common Octopus made those guys with like bomber jackets and like Adidas track suit jackets, and he just painted them black and like this leathery brown. And they just look like leather jackets. So really, really nice. Really good job. Michael, good job.
Hats off to you, buddy.
Fun Log 15, this is Alzheimer. Astos 1 Courthouse Sawyer booked and pass silent.
So as we've said before, like, this Discord has been like a super amazing thing. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I'm glad that we're a part of this. There are so many cool things coming out of it between all these people who are making STLs for people, like miniatures and vehicles and terrain. And then there's like guys that are just, creating missions and stuff. And sometimes there's a need that is filled by somebody who's got a little bit of ambition, a little bit of skill. And there's a guy on our Discord. He goes by the handle Death Kaisers, one of the 2. I don't know if there's an R in there. You put an R in there. Is it? Okay.
Death
yeah. Death Chrysers.
Yeah.
Chrysers. All right. Death Chrysers. So one of the things in Spectre that is not required to play, but it's nice to have, is the tokens. And those tokens are super hard to get a hold of. Either they're not in stock, or you live in the US or in Australia or South Africa or whatever, where shipping for $3 worth of tokens is like $30. So it's really not worth it. And, they're never all in stock at once. So
yeah,
what Death Chrysler did is he put together a free pack of tokens that was inspired by the Spectre tokens. So they're not like exactly like them, but they are, pretty darn close to what you need to play. So you can look down at a glance and say, oh yeah, that guy's an Overwatch or whatever. So definitely check that out. They're free. Like I said, they're free to print. And he says that they print in FDM or resin, and they're scalable. He has them scaled to 20 millimeter bases because a lot of them are the wraparound tokens.
Yeah.
Not quite a semicircle, but in that shape. If you size them up to 130%, they work for 25 millimeter bases, which is what a lot of people use.
Yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to say, that even if you can buy them and they're on stock, if you're playing with 25 millimeter bases, which you are one
Yes.
of the peeps, you have bad luck. So this is pretty cool. I don't know, what have you used before for tokens?
Well, so I actually, a lot of times I just track it in my head, and I've never really ran into an issue. I have some tokens, like I have incapacitated and bleed out and wounded, the official ones from Spectre. But one of the things, like you said, is I play with 25 millimeter bases, which is pretty common in the US. I think most people play on 25s just because it's easy to find. One of the things you can do is there's a company called Litco, and they make tokens, and you can actually order custom tokens that are in that wraparound shape, the circular shape. And it's pretty reasonable, and you can get custom text on them, and you can choose whatever color you want. So I actually had an order all lined up, but it would have been like $90 in tokens, right? It's still pretty expensive, but it would be like a custom set, but they're pretty reasonable. I want to say that it was like 12 tokens for like $15 or $20. I'd have to look at the exact price, but it was around that ballpark. So it's not unreasonable, but I was like, do I really need to know who's an Overwatch, or can I remember who's an Overwatch? I'll remember. Because as much as I would like to use the official tokens, they don't fit on the 25 millimeter bases. So they just kind of like look weird, like a little bulge out the back, So it's super cool that someone took some initiative and made a set that was inspired and said, here you go, it's free. Like, I don't want anything for it. Just enhance your game with it. So that's super cool. And that's kind of, like I said, it's like, that's the kind of people that are on the Discord. They're like, there's a need. I want you guys to enjoy your game. As we always say, there's no secrets in gaming,
Yeah.
So good on Death Chrysler for doing that. That's a need that needs to be filled.
Yeah, and speaking about the podcast, about the Discord ones, where with not tooting your own horn, actually you can toot your own horn because you made the Discord, you put it into live.
We did,
and it's you did, and then you just put me as a mod, and then you ask me later if it's okay, and that's actually how this kind of started everything between us, which is kind of funny because we're pretty good brother buddies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really,
we talk every day
night. Yeah, and I have every day a little tear in my eye that's so far away that we can't enjoy hobby time and everything else. But yeah, so kudos from me to you for making this impulsive decision.
Yeah,
which changed literally,
as I said,
only our lives, but a lot of other.
As I said, it was somebody on Reddit that was like, is there a Discord? I'm like, no, there's not. And then like I sat there and I thought about it, and I think that you and I had just started talking. I'm like, sorry, this is gonna get explicit, but I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. So we made one, and it was just you and I, and we're like, all right, now what do we do? So just like stuck it out there, and there, like I said, there's so many people here that there's awesome content and talk, and I've made a lot of friends in different countries who I talk with on a relatively regular basis. Like I said, we talk every day. It's cool. So if you guys are interested, as always, we're going to put the link in the notes. Check it out. Come hang out. And it's a great place.
Just don't be an ass.
Yeah. Don't be a dick. That's the only. Well, we have a couple
No.
rules, but that's what it boils down to. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. And we will obviously put the link for Death Crisis tokens in the notes and description.
Yeah,
Make sure to check them out.
absolutely.
Power 15, this is Delta 1 over. You can do that. Please keep your essence down. We'll engage.
Whew. All right, Dan. We were gonna make this a short episode. I don't know if you remember us saying that, but
It's even the title, I think.
I had to go take a break. Like I had to take a bathroom break and get a beer here. So I guess it's time that we live up to our name. And we did a Black Powder Red Earth review, but we really only talk about Spectre stuff. Well, I guess Skirmish Sanguine today. I'll put an asterisk there. But there's another game that you've been really stoked on, and you've been telling me to check out, and I have not been a good friend because, I mean, other than you telling me, I haven't really looked into it. And that's Warfighter. So what is Warfighter?
I'm glad you're asking, Ben. What is Warfighter? Okay, so, I mean, telling you to check out was like really just check on YouTube because...
Oh, well, I could have done that.
because no need to invest something. But yeah, Warfighter. Warfighter is pretty cool. It's a card game, but not a pure card game. It has tokens and it's intended for solo and cooperative play. And it's from a company called DVG, Dan Versen Games. Maybe you heard of them. I haven't heard before, but they're like in the States and maybe. Yeah, you're nodding awful lot, so...
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it.
So, well, before I get into the details, the Warfighter was... I think they made a Kickstarter campaign where the first game was only World War II. Like I said, it's a solo or cooperative game. The cool thing is that either or, there's no different in gameplay. You just share, like, the units or the guys you have. And they made a modern version and they made a night version, which is the one I'm gonna talk about because it's the one I got. And there's even now a fantasy and a new future one, which I haven't checked out. But the cool thing and the funny thing is, before I got into the actual game mechanics, is that you can mix and match everything together because it's the same units and numbers and thing. So you can go like really crazy and do US modern Delta versus orcs in the Middle East. Or
like fantasy orcs?
Yeah, or you can do
boy.
like your wizard fantasy warband fighting World War II Germans in Normandy. Should be hilarious. Or even World War II Brits fighting modern North Koreans. Or like anything, or I don't even know what the new future stuff has because I don't want to get excited and spend more money. I think I already spent too much for this game than I should because I'm a panic buyer. Because the game comes from the States and yeah, shipping, import taxes, yeah. But yeah, first quick thing how I found the game. Usually when I sit in bed, I check my Google notification things, like the news snippets they throw in. I was like one news snippet from I don't know, some German blog, some guy like what is a war game and something like this, and I like clicked on it and kind of wanted to see what this guy has to say about it. And he talked about a game, also a game from Dan Versen Games, which is Castle Itter, it's called. So if you know the story of Castle Itter, it's where Wehrmacht and I don't know, some Americans fought
together.
Yeah, together against the SS, which is like crazy. It's a pretty interesting true story, and they made like a solo cooperative game. So to not go into the detail, I googled it and I found a store, or I think even had the link where the store was. Super weird store. It has like, I don't know, the name of the website is just some letters and numbers, makes like no sense, but it's an actual, yeah, it's like uggsecond.de or .com, I'm not sure. Which is like the abbreviation of the guy's name having the store, and he has like tons of this very explicit niche simulation like board games, hex games, war games. And while checking there and looking there, I found like one game which is called Warfighter, and it was like modern, and there was like one version with the guy with night visions, and I'm really into night vision things. So after checking YouTube and something, what's it about, I dipped in and bought the Shadow War modern version. It's an own standalone game. It focuses on night sneaky action. So there's a noise mechanic in this game, but I go into this in a second. But overall card game. So first we go on it. I'm personally not a big fan of card games because I hate having all these cards in my hand and shoveling around. It's just like so annoying and so much to read always. I hate it. It feels like work when I'm playing a sophisticated board game with tons of cards. And at least the cards are like decent size. They're like the normal playing card size, and they have not so much text, which is really nice. And like I said, it's not a pure card game. You have cards where you lay them down in a sort of like solitaire style boards you have. Like with the core game comes like a fold up cardboard board thing, like on board games. And you place the cards according to locations and like other things, which I go into detail. And then you have a set of hand cards, which are like special items. And you have you need to make up your team with points, which dictates the mission and things. You got a card which gives you the infiltration style and type, which has a modifier to the game. You have cards for the exfil, which has like conditions how you can exfil it. And then you have obviously your mission and objectives, which are...
So there's like a lot of variation that could happen.
Yeah, so the core game of Shadow War, Warfighter Shadow War, is about North Korea. And it comes with some American soldiers. So I think it's like generic American soldiers. Which is crazy. They have real pictures of real soldiers with real names. So I have to say, to come back to the thing which we talked with Michael before, like it kind of made a little bit uncomfortable having like this guy's face and name, and he's kind of dying because I rolled the bad dice. Yeah, but I have just to look at it at a game aspect. And dice rolling, like I already mentioned, is there. So you have... It's a miniature game without miniatures and without a table you need to set up, because everything dictates on the card. You roll your dice for shooting and cover and making checks, like if you make a noise or nothing. And you have like a hand, and your units have health points and different weapons you can kit out. I bought this game because I'm mostly a solitary player. So this was a very interesting aspect. Secondly, it's a card, like it has only the card and the board you need to set up. So it's like, I really want to do a game. 10 minutes, not even, I think 3 minutes I have all the cards set up and the thing, and then, just about choosing the missions, and then the most time is actually like making your squad or whatever, because you have so many options, like gear options, and... Like if obviously you have different types of night vision because it's a night game, you can choose different gear which has more weight. You need to consider the weight. You need to consider the and when you pick your soldiers, they have different stats as well. Like if they are more silent or if they are more better in shooting, then they're more expensive in points, and you have like limitation in your points. So I can either take like 2 crazy good guys or like a few more grunts, so to say. And there's also a distinction between player soldiers, which are like representing you more or less, which you can kit out completely. Non-player soldiers, which you can kit out with like guns only and gear maybe, I'm not sure even now. And you have like the squad soldiers, I think. They have like everything written on a card, so you don't need to pick the extra things.
Nice.
Which is...
That saves you some time, yeah.
Yeah, convenient. And if you're playing co-op, then obviously you have like 2 player soldiers and you share them. Or, I don't know, could even like say one uses the squad soldier when it's about to make the decisions on things. And each soldier has actions, which is determined also on the card. And the action can be like moving or shooting twice or whatever, planting the bomb. And they have a health marker. And your player soldier, the health dictates the action cards you have in your hand. So if you get lower on health, you lower the cards you can have in hand. So, but the maximum what I have seen is 6. So that's really convenient in having the cards in the hand. And it's kind of hard to just talk about it in voice. So I think I will not promise, but I will do on YouTube maybe a roundup. But yeah, let's continue. It heavily relies on your imagination, but the pictures on the cards are really so good, and they have all this night vision feel. So it's like a simplistic one. They just made the pictures in negatives, that the color values are inverted, and then put like a green filter over it, but it looks really convincing that it's like some night vision thermal stuff. And I have to say, like, the first few games, they were so immersive. It was crazy for like just having cards and shits on the table. It was
you
really
talked it
fun.
up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really fast. So I remember the first mission, it took me like at least 30 minutes to figure out what guys I want to take, because I had like so limited points. And the actual game was maybe 15, 20 minutes or something, or like also half an hour, let's say, like this. I had to read up the rules, obviously, learning by going. But it was so exciting. And I had like days where I had like everything set up, and I came for lunch, and I skipped lunch just to play a game. Yeah, well, this was really fun. But yeah, how can I continue?
So
Team building by point system.
You talked about that, the body armor stuff.
The rolling dice, quick. It's a D10 for shooting, so you need to have the value on your rifle and on your guy. The cool thing is, if you go, there's even like an ammunition system, so you have like different magazines, and you can buy different ammo types. You can like regular ammunition, which is louder but has a lot of damage. You have subsonic ammo, which is silent but doesn't do a lot of ammo damage. Or you have black ammo, which does is silent and has the full damage value of the regular, but it's more expensive. And if you roll your shooting dice, and it's like a 1 or 2, depends, then it says like your gun is empty and you need to reload it and spend an action and things, and you have limited ammo, so that's really fun. And you have to overcome a cover from the enemy, which is just a D6 test written on the card. And yeah, and the body armor detail mechanic is crazy. Just have to add this. It's a D20. So if an enemy which has body armor, or your figure, your own soldier has a body armor, there's like a picture where they divided the body parts in 20 areas, and then you actually roll a D20 to look where the shot went on the body, and if it went on a body armor area, then you would apply the body armor value to counteract this shot. If not, then if it's going to the arm, then obviously the body armor isn't doing anything. This was really crazy, and it's kind of funny because I was weeks before talking with Martin about how we will do the Escape from Tarkov body armor mechanics, and I had like the similar idea with it, so it seems like I wasn't so wrong with my idea because it works pretty well. And yeah, I'm sorry, you wanted to ask something?
No, I was just going to say, this is something that you can actually play on Tabletop Simulator too, right? So if
Yes.
you and I wanted to get a game in?
Yeah, exactly. There's an official DLC, or like, I don't know what's it called, like, yeah, DLC, I think it's the right word, from Dan Versen Games for the modern game. It's not the Shadow War, but the regular modern, and it got a few of expansion in it. And I think it's $15 regularly, but I bought it on, I don't know, Easter is now Christmas for $3 or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was really cheap. And the cool thing is, like, only one person needs to buy the game because you're joining my table, so to say. And yeah, actually we should do that one day, one of the rare days.
Yeah, one of the rare days that we can get some time. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking about expansion, it's like insane. This company is balling out expansion after expansion, and yeah, that's like what I thought. I'm like this panic buyer. I bought on this German store like nearly all expansions, just scared that he can't import them anymore or something. I think it's just a few one I'm missing. But yeah, the core game is like North Korea for the Shadow War, and I bought the Shadow War expansion. I got like some Syria airbase. I got the General Soleimani, which is the Iranian general. There was like some stuff with him. I got the oil rig. I got the Nori cargo ship, which just got hijacked by Somali pirates expansion. I got a soldier expansion for the Russian soldiers. There's like one for Germans and Brits and everything. And yeah, I don't know. I got a few expansions, and there's like the latest one which came out a few weeks ago is Desert Storm Operation Granby, with the SAS, which is pretty cool. I already have itchy fingers for that one. Yeah, but yeah, and to come back, like the core game and each expansion, you got like, I don't know, 5 different exfil, 5 different infill, 5 different missions, or 6 or 8, depends, and then to the mission different objectives, like assassinating VIP, extracting a defecator, or what's not defecator? It's a defecator?
Defector?
No.
Yeah,
Defector. No, obviously
defecator is someone who's pooping.
Yeah, the Zona Alpha guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. He's probably pooping while defecting.
Probably a little bit.
Yeah, how we say in German, the pen is writing already. You know this expression?
No.
It's when the poop is already...
I think we call that groundhogging in America.
Groundhogging, yeah, this could be, yeah. The pen is writing. And like destroy Chinese pipelines, destroy a bridge, destroy a patrol boat. Yeah, and things like this. And every set got their own stuff. There's like even a dedicated Osama bin Laden double pack thing where you can hunt him once in Pakistan on his big mansion thing,
compound,
like in compound, and the other one in, I don't know, even in Afghanistan in the caves.
Tora Bora, yeah.
Tora Bora, exactly, yeah. And with it comes like this location cards, which is like the main thing. You have like the mission card. It only says like I have to go like this. You have a track on your front of you, so it's like place 1, 2, 3 until 9. And you have the mission card and uncover one location card, which is put on 1, like the track number 1. So the mission card dictates on which number of this track is the objective. So for example, I put a mission and it says like on 3 is the objective. So I put my objective card on the 3. Oh no, there's no location in advance. But I have to get action cards in my hand. Or I get 6 in the beginning. If I have a location marker draw from this deck of cards, I can draw a location card and put it in with an action. If I don't have, I have to spend another action to get new cards. So this location cards, which is the interesting thing, they can be anything. Can be, I don't know, open fields, can be building a home area, what's it called, like a checkpoint, like various things. I really have nothing now in mind. And this kind of also changed the game because you get the locations and you draw them. It's like the decision where you are going in. And the location card also dictates how many bad guys potentially are there. Because this is the next cool mechanic this is very Shadow War specific, that you draw the baddies but upside down, and the backside of the card has a different value than the actual guys. So you can either decide to attack the backside or spend an action with some device to reveal it and like inspect it. And some of those enemies are just shadows. So if you spend this action, you just discard this card because like you saw something moving and wasn't even an enemy. And the backside is always harder to kill than the front side, obviously, because you're just estimating maybe. And and the enemies can move, and it's, I don't know, it's really crazy. It's, if you look at the cards and the numbers and everything, it's like just in like Chinese, I want to say, like they don't understand anything, but reading the rules, which are actually pretty straightforward, So, enough masturbation over this. How and why did I buy it, and how can I add it to my Spectre games? This is the thing which I had secondly in mind. Because with the mission cards and the location cards, you could make up your random Spectre missions. And I had even been so crazy to thinking about making like a rolling table campaign where you draw like your mission cards and your objective by random, and then it says like it's 3 locations until the objective, and then I draw like the first location just randomly, and it says, for example, like this rice field or whatever in North Korea, and then I build up a 2x2 or a 3x3 which has like this location, and I need to go across it with some patrols and enemies walking around. And if I manage to get on the other board edge, I just draw the next location card and build a new table up and do the same thing. So I think this could be kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or just to get some inspiration going. And yeah. And price-wise, it's $50 I think I bought, or $55 for the core game, and $15 per expansion, euros. So maybe $20.
That's not bad. Yeah.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I really like that. I'm all about adding things into Spectre, but I'll have to call you and be like, Dan, I need you to roll on the chart for me. I need 3 missions and the locations and how I'm going to get there and how I'm going to get out of there. And actually, what I'm going to do too, if you could add that, that'd be great. And if you want to type that up and send it over by fax, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, by FedEx.
Yes, we'll FedEx it over. Yeah, that sounds awesome. It's amazing how much can come from a card game. Like I said, imagination is a big part of it, but it sounds like they give you a lot of tools to really set the scene in your head. Am I at a checkpoint, or am I in the rice paddy that's next to the checkpoint and I got to sneak in or whatever? Yeah, that's amazing that it's all coming from a card game.
Yeah, and you can mix. I'm not sure if you can actually mix the objectives and things, but I think yes. I could like use my North Koreans in the Mina location cards, for example, or something. That's like no limitation. It just makes it difficult. Only thing which you can't do is like mix location and things together. It will be kind of weird, I guess, from like rules wise with the missions. But yeah, and you have like things like JDAMs you can call in, like off-table assets, items. Yeah, it's just crazy. I've been just playing the core game for now because I want to get the most out of the North Korean thing. And the next one would be the Yongbin Nuclear Research Facility in North Korea, which is an expansion. And I want to play this. It has like a different mechanic. A meltdown mechanic where you have time pressure to do something, and yeah, it's brutal with the noise thing, and it's really a lot of fun. So if you're a lot on the road, if you want physical wargaming, if you have a very nice imagination, I can absolutely recommend Warfighter. I'm really enjoying it. And if you can, like me, add the cards and get more value out of it, even with the tokens, like there's so many tokens in this game. The ammo tokens already are really nice, and yeah, bleed out, and I don't even know, it's like so much stuff. But yeah, so much for Warfighter Shadow War.
That is now reporting engagement 30s.
And now for our regular program, the Spectre Rules Highlight.
It makes something that's a regular occurrence. I feel like we're just really good at delays.
Yeah.
That's okay.
At least this is regular.
So one of the things that came up on the Ultramodern Discord was a question about lethal grenades and throwing them at a specific spot instead of throwing them at a person. So there was some really good discussion there, but Dan and I decided to do a little bit of a rundown on grenades, particularly the lethal type. So if you open up your Spectre rulebook, if you are following along, we're going to start on page 41, which is dealing with lethal grenades. So you can use a lethal grenade in lieu of a shooting attack. So instead of shooting a rifle or something, you can throw a grenade. You can throw a grenade.
A lethal grenade.
A lethal grenade.
Yeah.
Your non-lethals are done in the tactical actions phase. So that would be like
Yes.
flashbang or smoke grenade. So lethal grenades are during the shooting phase. Now, if you're going to throw a grenade, you can throw it up to a maximum of 12 inches, and they have a range interval of 6 inches. So if you throw it past 6 inches, you're going to be taking a -1 automatically to your to hit roll. If you miss with a grenade, you would use the drift template. So instead of using the template, which you can buy, basically it's a circle with the numbers 1 through 6 on it around the circle. You roll a dice. You put it over your point of impact, and then you roll the dice, and then it'll roll a 6, for example, and that'll be the 12 o'clock position. So then the grenade will go that direction, and then you roll another d6 to see how many inches it goes. Drifting grenades, as they call them, or misses, if they go off in a direction and they hit a solid object like a wall or a vehicle or something, they'll actually bounce back into the opposite direction. And you keep going until you're out of the bouncing distance. Yeah, which it can kind of turn into a pinball if you're throwing it into a really small area, which kind of gets entertaining. But sometimes the miss will be enough to still catch somebody in the frag distance, where you still roll a lethality check, but it's not an automatically lethal hit.
Yeah, and about the drifting, you can also just use a regular scatter dice. What we do, because it's way quicker.
That's what I do. Yeah, it's way easier to use a scatter dice. So you just roll a scatter dice and then the d6 at the same time, and it'll tell you your direction. And we actually use the old Warhammer scatter dice because you can find them all over the place for like $1. And it's really easy to use. Doesn't get any easier than an arrow. So the next part about grenades is in the advanced combat rules. And this is something that came up. We were talking about targeting an inanimate object or a point on the battlefield. So sometimes you want to throw to a point that might catch, 2 or 3 guys in it, or if you're throwing it and you think that there's somebody around the corner. So in order to do that, you need to roll an 8 or better on your shooting score. And if you miss, then it uses that drift template, which drifts again d6 in a random direction, d6 inches in a random direction.
And we had the particular question with the smoke grenade, throwing through the smoke grenade, if you can't see. But you saw it earlier, the target.
And it kind of comes down to what you and your opponent kind of agree on, what's fair. And I think that's kind of the consensus that the guys in the group came to. It's a little bit ambiguous because, with smoke, technically in the game you can't shoot through it. And in real life, you're probably not going to be wasting your ammunition shooting through smoke unless you know something is over there or you're doing maybe suppressing fire or something. But I would say that it's fair if, you saw the target before the smoke grenade started pluming up, right? I think that you could do that, throwing it into the smoke.
With the certain penalty of targeting an inanimate object or point on the battlefield.
Yeah, and what's one benefit to targeting an inanimate object or a point on the battlefield is that it's an unopposed roll. So you just need to score an 8 or better in order for that grenade to successfully land where you throw it. And again, even if you don't score an 8 or more, it's going to land somewhere around there. I mean, it might roll back at you, so hopefully you're not within 6 inches. But if you're going to throw it actually at a person, you have to do a regular shooting roll where you get to roll and they roll and add their defense, and then you try and beat their score, which is usually doable, but it's a lot better just to not have to worry about that. So, I use it a lot where I target a spot instead of a person, so there's not an opposing roll. Additionally, there are some particular weapons that will drift farther, and those are in the weapons special rules.
On page?
That's going to come later, but that is on page... Oh, it's around
87?
page 84 is what we're looking at for our particular stuff, 84 and 86. But it's worth noting too that your models can carry up to 2 grenades of each type. So it's not like you can carry around a bandolier of 6 grenades, and honestly, I think that's a good thing because frag grenades are really powerful in Spectre. It's almost kind of like almost overpowering. But they do have a place. I guess and I remember listening to the Rules of Engagement podcast, and it's like Purdy was saying that I got to remember that not everybody has grenades. You're if you're running Cartel and against Federales, maybe like they were, it's like not everybody's going to have a hand grenade. But you definitely have to think about that, when if you're playing the game more tactically and your guys are maybe stacking up on a corner to make entry into a room, and then all of a sudden someone tosses a grenade and it lands right next to your stack, you're going to have a bad time.
Yes.
Which, I mean, in fairness, is how it works in real life if there's a grenade. And one thing that we had talked about, too, in the Discord was potentially having kind of, if it landed close enough, someone was talking about home ruling that, if you roll a 6, one of the guys next to it rolls a 6, he picks it up and is able to throw it back. And then what was it, a 4 or 5, they would roll and then they could dive out of the way into the, not instantly lethal zone.
Yeah.
And then still take it. And then a 1, 2, 3, they would, not do anything with the grenade, which is kind of an interesting way to handle that. I think that was Tomcat that was talking about that.
I think Yankee, but yeah, some
Yankee
guys. I also had an idea, which was a bit more sophisticated with, like when the miniature did any shoot action, then he could like try to kick or dive away with an agility test, stuff like this. Yeah, many options, many ideas.
Yeah, I suppose that was it, right? That was the agility test, maybe, or maybe I'm mashing those two ideas together, but.
Yeah. Someone else had the easier one with just like 1 to 6 giving a value.
It's not a bad idea with the agility test, though, because I mean, you do have that agility score, and I guess potentially a trained soldier is probably going to, try and scoop up a grenade faster than your militia guy or even a civilian that gets caught in there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they might be a little more apt to do that instead of dive out of the way. I don't know. I think I'd still probably be diving out of the way, but.
Yeah, that's like one thing what Black Powder Red Earth does really well, I think. That the grenades explodes, or like all explosive explodes just like in the last thing in the turn. So you can still kind of try to move away, but...
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it kind of goes off at the end of the phase, right, is the verbiage. And it gives you, like you said, that chance to kind of scoot out of the way. It's not just like, you're like, uh-oh, and then it goes off, which is how it works in Spectre, but this is another way to do things.
Yeah.
So if you turn to page 87 in the weapons rules section, there's a section on thrown weapons. So again, we talked about each model can carry 2 of each type of grenade, and that is to a maximum of 6 grenades. So 2 smoke, 2 stun, flashbangs, and 2 frag grenades. And again, we kind of touched on this, that you can use thrown weapons speculatively, or in a spot where you would suspect an enemy force is instead of necessarily knowing they're there.
Yeah, due to audio clues, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can hear something. Because, when we're playing a game, we have that overall view. You can kind of change that around if you're using different tokens, like hidden unit tokens, potentially. But you still know there's a unit there. So you kind of have an unfair advantage, or
unrealistic.
I shouldn't say unfair, but not really a realistic viewpoint of what's going on, versus what your guys on the ground would be seeing. So you could do that. And again, if you're going to do that speculatively, you're going to be using firing at a point on the ground. And again, it's a conversation with your opponent potentially, that it's fair for your models to assume that there are people inside, or a target inside, not people. Potentially, if you're looking for a thematic reason, maybe they were spotted by a drone, or you have intelligence that there are guys in there. You have an informant or something saying, I just came out of that building and there's 3 guys with assault rifles in there. So, there are potentially some thematic reasons for you to know. And I think that's something, again, to discuss with your opponent. And, it's, as we always say, Spectre is kind of fun because it's not exactly who can smack the other one around the hardest. It's, playing a game together.
Like you were just saying, not people but targets, kind of gives me the idea if you use the hidden tokens, then if you don't have like confirmed eyesight on it, that there could be a potential like hostage or civilian in the room, which gives like big minus points for the scenario. This would be kind of interesting.
Depending on your rules of engagement.
Yeah.
And most people frown upon shooting or blowing civilians up, but I guess you never know if you're the baddies.
That's true. Like what we usually do, or I had like the idea is like when the guys are in a room, that there's some kind of objective which need to be recovered, so you can't just throw in all the nades because you would destroy your objective to like go out of the way.
Right.
It's
well, I mean, if you're trying to recover a laptop or something, you don't want to be chucking a frag grenade in there. And actually, fragmentation grenades have a special rule. On page 83, there's actually a kind of a rundown of the rules for fragmentation grenades and munitions. One of the interesting things is that if you are throwing a grenade into an enclosed space, a frag grenade, if a model is hit by that grenade, the lethality roll, you actually add a 1 to it, so it makes it more lethal. And that's just because that's kind of the ideal environment for a fragmentation grenade to be deployed in, right? There's walls, it can kind of bounce around, and you really don't want to be inside a confined space when that happens.
Yeah.
So another add-on, there's an errata and additions that was released a couple of years ago now, it looks like. But when you're using grenades, one thing to note is you don't get the bonus for being prone. So it doesn't really matter what position you are when you throw the grenade, it's still going to work. But they're talking about particularly, when you're shooting from a prone position where you didn't move the previous turn, you would get a +1 to your hit. And another thing that they touch on in the errata is that throwing grenades, whether they're lethal or non-lethal grenades, throwing them through a small opening is harder. So when you throw them through a door, you take a -1. When you're throwing them through a window, you take a -2. And when you throw them through a bunker slit, it's a -3. And if you throw a grenade without line of sight to the target, an automatic deviation of D3 inches is applied within the first range interval and D6 in the second. So we talked about this too in the Discord, and someone said that they house ruled that if you're up against the window, you might not be taking that -2, but maybe you take the automatic deviation, because again, you're not looking to see where you're throwing it. You're chucking it in there, probably ducking out of the way. So that's kind of an interesting way to do it, instead of standing 10 feet back and then throwing a grenade through a window. Maybe your operator was a high school quarterback and can throw a football, and he can launch a grenade through a 4-inch hole. But I don't think most people can do that.
I think the same would apply with the earlier mentioned smoke issue when throwing through a smoke.
The automatic deviation.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair way to resolve things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be honest, like when we've played, we pretty much say that smoke is impenetrable. But now looking at this and refreshing myself on the errata, I think that that's a really good way to kind of handle things. You could even add something similar to shooting. Obviously, you don't have deviation with shooting, but you could take a -3 to your hit. If you're going to be laying suppression fire down.
Yeah. One thing I don't know if you forget because you wanted not to mention it, but frag grenades also inflict double suppression on infantry, as well as on unarmored vehicles.
Yeah. So again, really useful, and it makes sense. Grenades going off right next to you, you're probably going to want to duck, right?
Yeah, and even like fully armored vehicles take 1 point of suppression, even if the weapon doesn't penetrate, just because of the explosion and blast and shock.
Right, and probably if you're inside of an armored vehicle, you might not know that that's just a frag grenade going off
That's
next
true.
to you.
Yeah.
You might think
That's
that it's an RPG that just failed to penetrate or something, a glancing blow. And again, one thing that we had touched on too, that was a question, is actually the blast radius of frag grenades and other types of explosives. For a frag grenade, for example, the inner 1 inch circle from your point that you threw the grenade, that is an automatic kill. Anything within that 1 inch is just dead outright. And for a frag grenade, it goes out to 3 inches, a circle that's 3 inches in diameter centered on your point. Anything that's that 1 inch to 3 inches away, that takes a 5-up lethality hit. Unless you're inside, and then it's a 4-up. I should say inside of a confined space.
Yeah.
But there was kind of a question of, is the measurement a radius or a diameter? And it's a diameter. So you're looking at 3 inches, not 6 inches around it. There are some really rather large weapons, or I should say explosive ranges.
Yeah, like the ID, I think.
Yeah, the ID. And I want to say off the top of my head, depending on what size it is, I know... Yeah, here it is. For example, a vehicle-borne IED has a range interval of 16 inches, and it goes out to 32 inches in 360 degrees. So that's pretty gnarly. A very large IED is 32 inches.
Yeah.
Everything is hit on a 1-up, so it's automatic, a 2+ lethality, and a 12-pin, which is pretty nasty.
Could be an interesting scenario on a 2x2. Like, there's one, the driver got shot, and you need to defuse it.
Pretty much, yeah.
If you fail it, everybody's
and I know that,
dead on the point.
Sometimes, depending on the type of munition, buildings could provide some cover, but yeah, it's pretty nasty. I mean, even something like a claymore that they have in here, it goes out to 20 inches, but the inner range, the first range interval is 10 inches, and it's a 4-up hit and then a 2-up lethality, which is pretty nasty. So again, we kind of went off of the grenade path, but there are a lot of very interesting things that you can add to your games, as far as explosives go, and that's one thing that we use grenades pretty frequently, especially like flashbang grenades and stuff, and frag grenades. But it's one of those optional rules. As we say, you can always just start up with the movement and the shooting and stuff, and you can pretty much have a fun game just doing that, and you can kind of add other elements in. But definitely check out some of these other pieces of equipment that you can use depending on your scenario. I think I might give Claymore Mines a try. That'd be fun in a defensive scenario. Yeah, I can't say I've tried those.
Yeah, I think I've never tried them either. Even CS gas grenade would be fun.
Yeah.
Have you tried that one?
I have not, no.
So many toys in this book.
Yeah.
Not enough time.
Actually, there's also a rule called Devastating Blast. That's on page 101. An IED with a Devastating Blast special rule automatically kills all personnel and destroys all vehicles and buildings that are within a certain distance of the center blast. Yeah, so that, again, going back to that large vehicle-borne IED, something that would be in a truck or something, that has a Devastating Blast, which destroys everything within 8 inches. So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of realistic if you've seen any of those drone videos from Syria, Iraq, or whatever, when they drive in an vehicle-borne IED and it blows off. It looks absolutely surreal.
Yeah. Big cloud. Big mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about with grenades?
I don't know. Smoke grenades are always good. It's always... Don't skimp on the smoke grenades. Yeah. It's like my number one pick.
Yeah.
for the attackers.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers the fragmentation grenades. Unless, if you want to talk about the other stuff, we're already at 22 minutes.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think
so.
We need some stuff for the next episodes as well.
Yeah.
So
that wraps up our little rundown on fragmentation grenades and throwing them speculatively, throwing them through a smoke screen. Yeah, definitely use grenades, but just remember not everybody's carrying grenades.
Yeah.
They can be pretty powerful.
Don't overkill it and make it like Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
Hammer Party, this is Frontline 15 requesting CAS engage hostile party directly to our 12.
Alright, so our next segment, our other usual?
Yeah, the traditional more.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's traditional. Hobby news. Kind of taking a look at what's going on out there in the world of ultramoderns. We have had a lot of things going on in the past month here.
Yeah. 1.5 months already.
Oh, yeah, 1.5 months now. One of the things that Dan and I have been excited about was the Kickstarter by Miska Miniatures, the Sub-Saharan African miniatures, and that Kickstarter went extremely well.
Yeah. So extreme that he added more and more stretch goals because they were, I think like after the first week, all of them have been unlocked, which was crazy.
Yeah.
Like considering the previous Kickstarter was really just narrowly managed to fulfill the goal.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the subject matter. We talked about this before, but the Syria release, that was pretty niche. There were a lot of things that you only see in Syria. Yeah. And some people probably aren't interested in gaming that. It's kind of interesting because it's kind of like the Wild West. There's people running around with, like T-34, 85 tanks, and what did they just take them off monuments? Wasn't that there, or was that somewhere else?
Yeah.
There's just a whole bunch of weird stuff going on there between the hell cannons and, shooting propane
shopping
bombs.
cards.
Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of stuff. But the Africans were, they're guys who are dressed in kind of the traditional desert attire with the shamag over the head. It might be called something different, but they kind of have the long flowing garments to keep cool, and they have the AK-47s. And I think that there were some RPKs.
I think 2 RPKs and obviously the 2 RPGs and I think even 2 PKMs. So it's like 13 miniatures in the core set and 1 Land Cruiser and a few bikes. Yeah,
a couple civilians on bikes and a couple of guys that are running. There's an informant, I think, a guy holding a cell phone up to his
on
to
a
his
motorcycle.
Ear. Yeah, and then there's a guy riding on the motorbike with a passenger, and the passenger's got an AK. So it was a really cool set of miniatures, and I bought into it because I have a thing for Africa, and I could always use more Land Cruisers. But I started printing stuff off, and I'm pretty happy with how they've come out. Had a couple failures with the bikes, but I think that might be something with my settings, so I'm still kind of messing around with that. But most of the miniatures printed off flawlessly, and both Dan and I started using Miska's recommended resolution, I guess you could say, the layer height of 0.03 millimeters. Yeah. I used to print at 0.04, which, you say that's not that big of a difference, and it's not, but it definitely comes out smoother. It's a lot smoother finish, and it only adds maybe like an hour onto the print time, which kind of sucks for someone who's impatient like me, but if it comes out a nicer miniature and you're going to be keeping the miniature for a long time, you might as well, it's not like you're sitting there watching your printer. You just kind of set it and forget it, right? So those came out. He's actually going to be following up that Kickstarter with a pay what you want Kickstarter for a Land Cruiser SUV. So that actually just went up on the Kickstarter site as a
coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Pre-notification. So look for that. I'm pretty excited. He painted one up in the UN colors, so he knows what to get me with. He also previewed some guys in UN attire, kind of the simple body armor and the helmets and stuff, so I'm kind of excited about those.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if the Pay What You Want Kickstarter will have any stretch goals.
He kind of made it sound like it was just going to be, the one item. So, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah. Because I think will be a missed opportunity, because with stretch goals, people will pay more than just $1.
Yeah.
Because they want to have the stretch goal.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to put a bug in his ear. He kind of frequents our Discord, and we chit-chat with him from time to time. So, Miska, if you're listening, definitely consider some stretch goals. I'll be sending you those greenbacks.
So the next bullet on the list is like Michael Charge from the infamous Charge blog. I actually can't remember, and I've been too lazy to re-listen to the interview, to be fair. But I think he just mentioned that he is kind of digging the origins and along the path to fighting season, the modern version of Chain of Command. And yeah, it kind of seems he found some very big breadcrumbs along the way, and is doing his own version, which I don't know who came up with the term. It's called the MCOG, like the modern Chain of Command.
That's definitely something you came up with.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, MCOG is pretty amazing. So far I can tell. He posted, I think, 2 battle reports on his blog. And yeah, it's a long way. He still mentioned that until he can do a release, or more or less share the rules with everybody else. But I'm pretty excited. I have not played regular Chain of Command. I'm kind of, need to read the rules, and time is scarce, and but
yeah. So look for that coming out in the future. If you're a Chain of Command aficionado, I like to fancy myself that, even though I've only played a handful of games. It's a really cool system, but bringing it to the modern age is going to be really cool. So definitely check out Charge Blog and his 2 battle reports on there, and I think he talks about it kind of sporadically here and there about projects for it. So check that out. Next thing that we have on our list is the Combat Octopus Africans. So he released those in, was that February? The first set?
January, I think.
This is January?
Yeah.
So he gave us a whole bunch of Africans, modular Africans, kind of like a militia looking. Yeah, there were 6 of them, but you can mix and match to make a whole lot more. But most of them were riflemen. There was one machine gunner with a belt of ammunition around him, which is kind of a cool pose. And then there's kind of the NCO pose, which he's got his rifle slung and whatnot. Oh, he's got the radio too, yeah.
Yeah, the rifle slung is the new one.
Oh, I thought he had a different one. No, he's got one arm with. He's got kind of the radio tucked underneath, right?
Yeah, but it's from the expansion, which was the April release.
Well, maybe I'm mixing things up.
Yeah.
But now he's got this past month. He expanded the range to include some guys who are toting RPGs and RPKs and some more NCO types. There's actually 4 different poses, but again, they're mix and match. And if you're the sergeant tier, he actually added in the M16A2s and the boonie hats. So we were kind of excited about that, because you could make those into something maybe South American. Definitely would fit in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the M16s are also for the previous release, which is great. So
yes.
You can have the full 10 different upper bodies with M16s, more or less.
Yeah, so check that out. They are on Gumroad.
Yeah. And the cool thing, I really want to point out that his RPG guys, they got AKs, so it's not like your typical RPG and that's it. You have one guy aiming and shooting with the RPG and have the AK slung on his back, and the other one has the RPG not loaded with the fragmentation head on his shoulder and shooting the AK, and this is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unique.
Very cool poses. They're more dynamic too. They're kind of in the moving positions. So just kind of standing around.
Oh, and
I'm very
you
excited to print some.
forgot the new machine gun. I got an FMAG, so it's like the M240B heavy machine gun, or not heavy machine gun, but medium machine gun thing.
Yeah, the general purpose dealio.
Yeah. So the only thing missing is an FAL for the complete African experience.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see. I think he's probably tired of doing Africans for now.
Yeah.
But he's doing some civilians for this month's release, kind of like office and laboratory types.
Yeah.
So if that's something that interests you, check those out.
Yeah. Oh, and he released a few days ago, just in his free to grab stash of bits, one-handed Makarov pistol, which will be literally very handy. Yeah. Because we are already. This was kind of funny. Everybody, when he posted it, everybody was like, "Oh, we can just mirror the gun and then have like some guy in dual wielding pistols."
Going guns akimbo. That's perfect.
Yeah. And he added a free torso with the African theme, which fit the M2 Browning heavy machine gun from his JSDF and Bundeswehr expansion in October, I think.
Yeah, it was a bit ago.
So that's also, I mean, just for free. Awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like amazing.
So the next thing that we have is just kind of a bit of news. There was a company called Footsore North America, which is the North American branch of Footsore Miniatures, which is out of England, UK, I think, somewhere around there. But they have amicably parted ways. I can't talk, Dan, I'm sorry. They have parted ways, and Footsore North America has now gone back to Special Artisan Service Miniatures. So along with that, they are wanting to move more into the modern range. I think that they were keeping up with a lot of Footsore's ranges, which was more medieval and Dark Age related, and I think they had some like Age of Mythology type stuff. But,
and some pulp things like 1930s investigator stuff.
Yeah, but now there's a renewed push towards modern stuff, and they have actually released a couple new packs. So if you're interested in some metal miniatures, check them out. He's actually doing some new vehicles too. I just saw he released a German armored vehicle. I forget what it's called, but so yeah, check those out. They're pretty nicely cast. The vehicles that I have, I'm very happy with. So yeah, check them out.
Yeah. Next on the list, Black Powder Red Earth. We got a tease for the Hongbin Mercenaries. Like just 3D renders, but they look very, very nice. They really captured the feel and look of the comics. And yeah, they will release 21 miniatures later this year. I don't know the date out of my head.
I heard they're looking at potentially within the next week or so, at least the first set of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And all I'm going to say is I want them. I know that's not surprising to you, but I want them. They are very, very sexy miniatures. Definitely could be played as any baddie, like a little bit nicer equipment baddie, I'm just super excited about those.
Yeah, because they have like this also traditional clothing, but like an AK-12, super ultra modernized AK. It's like a really interesting look. Yeah, I also really would like to have them, but crossing fingers for the STLs maybe in a few years.
Maybe, yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Speaking of STLs, Dan, Turn-Based Miniatures just had a release. Obviously, they're a monthly service, but have you printed off the new release yet?
I just printed 3 of the new release are the Iranian Army, I think. Yeah, Army, not Guards, Army. Which is pretty cool because he did a vote earlier last month in March, because a lot of people were like, well, not complaining, but would have rather have like one full set of 10 or more miniatures instead of having like 2 themes with 4 to 6, which is not enough for full force. And yeah, it's like really a pity because he got a lot of good things going, but then you're like stuck with this half-done forces, and I don't know about how you guys think about it, but I really not a big fan of printing the same pose twice. Even if you can change the heads, if you have 4 guys and 2 are identical, it's kind of strange. And yeah, however, he made a full 10-guy set of the Iranian army, and I printed off 2 of the AK wielding guys and 1 guy with the PKM, and he got like the other ones are with M16s and G3, Heckler and Koch. And he said something like he will later this month add into this folder a few more guys. I'm not sure what it will be. I have maybe the guess that he will do every post with 1 dedicated weapon, because this was the next like literally complaint. Like, I want just AKs, now I have this G3s and M16.
You're giving me all these cool miniatures, but I want them all the same, damn it.
Yeah. So it's my guess. And also he posted a picture of like reporter's crew, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So like 1 guy holding the camera and 1, I think, female with the
microphone,
boom microphone. And
good scenario.
And for the it's awesome. Really, scenario miniatures always give me all of them now. And for the higher tier guys, he made an M113 APC in 2 variations.
M113.
Yeah, the what's it called, like multi-tool of APCs. Yeah, you can literally use it everywhere.
Yeah, they're still kicking around.
Yeah, it's like 1 classical one with just an M2 Browning on it.
Yeah, the 50 cal. Yeah,
and then 1 with a tank turret thing. I've never seen this before.
I think it's got a tow missile on it, if I remember right.
Yeah, but it's like a full turret. It looks like a miniature tank thing. Let me pull it
I didn't get that release. I'm not the I'm like the level 2 or whatever, and that's the level 3, so I didn't really get to see it. But yeah, I mean, so if you're looking for some armored vehicles, it's a cool thing. Especially, you know, like I said, I have a bunch of M113s kicking around that are resin, and I don't think I'll be 3D printing anytime soon. But hey, if you're in the market for some M113s, there you go, turn-based miniatures.
Yeah, for me it's great. I have none, so I will definitely print a few of the classic one. Oh yeah, I just have it open up here. So there's like the normal one with an M2 Browning and then a tow. And the other one has, I have no idea, like it's a tank turret,
which
pretty modern
is
one.
Not uncommon.
Maybe it's something Iranian.
You know, there's a lot of refits for the M113. You know, from flamethrowers to like the Australians had one that they basically put a tank turret on. I think from an armored car, actually it was. But yeah, so there's a bunch of things that have been done to kind of modernize that and keep it relevant, because really anything with armor-piercing ammunition is going to start shooting through it. So, oh yeah, look at that. Yeah. Dan just sent me a picture. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Definitely something to check out. Yeah, also let me know how they print.
Yeah.
Along with that, the much coveted Razor from Spectre. It's kind of a UTV, I guess you could say. But it's one of their kits that's been out of stock forever. I mean, like, since I started playing, I think I've seen it in stock maybe once. And there was a notification from them on their Instagram a while ago saying that, hey, it's going to be back in stock soon. So if you're looking for that, I don't know if it's going to be in stock now, or if it was in stock and I missed it, or what. But I guess they're trying to get some of their items that have been out of stock in stock again. And that one's been, like, known for being out of stock. You can't get it.
Yeah. It's like kind of meme.
Yeah, it is kind of a meme at this point. So keep your eyes open for that.
Maybe they got scared because TBM released one like a few months ago. Like, oh shit! All the notification emails are dropping.
That Spectre one looks like a beast to assemble. Lots of stuck fingers.
Yeah.
So I probably won't be getting one, but they also have a crew for it too, I think. So.
Yeah. Next is a really big one.
Ugh. Yes. Very big.
Generic insurgents, modern insurgents from Wargames Atlantic.
In plastic.
Multi-part plastic.
Multi-part kits. And they've been teasing quite a bit of things for it. it seems like they're probably going to go down the road of generic like Middle Eastern insurgents to start with, but they've also been teasing some like very high grade weapons and some really interesting ones. Like I think they had an FAL or
VHS,
FMAS, yeah, and
This
that too, yeah. They had a whole bunch of very non-insurgent like weapons. So there's kind of some scuttlebutt that there's going to be another release, possibly like a generic PMC or something similar. So keep your eyes open for that. They kind of do little teasers like every week or so of what they're working on, and yeah, so very excited about that. Especially if you have some plastic kits. Their plastic kits usually run about $30 to $35 US, I think, and usually they're like 20 to 30 guys. Yeah. So lots of options. So be on the lookout for that. That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm like super excited because they fit very well. At least the partisan one they had fit very well with the regular bolt action ones. Besides the heads.
Yeah, but they're a little bit slimmer. They're not like heroic scale.
Yeah,
but they look good.
Yeah, they're bigger in size, but like they have different heads. The necks are on the bodies, and the heads have like a hole. And bolt action is like the other way around. But yeah, nothing a green stuff can manage. But like arms wise, it fits perfectly, and I can't wait to kit bash some, I don't know, German Wehrmacht guys with some VHS and have like some super weird sci-fi strange thing going on. So this is really, really exciting.
That doesn't surprise me coming from you. That also, lowers the cost of entry for people. Metal miniatures, especially, they kind of can be on the expensive side compared to plastics. But again, plastics are a lot bigger investment for the company, so they got to know what they're going to sell them. So hopefully everybody goes out and buys these from War Games Atlantic, so they see, hey, people are playing Ultramoderns, and they give us more. So
yeah, I'm absolutely picking up 2 kits, definitely.
Yeah, I will be too. Speaking of plastics, another company that does plastic models and miniatures is Rubicon. And they have been teasing us for at least a year, probably more like
3 years.
2 to 3. Yeah, probably 3 years, that they are getting into Vietnam. But that being said, they've been teasing plastic M113A kits, which is, again, the same thing kind of that Turn-Based released, but in a plastic kit. They said that there was going to be like 5 different variants that you could build. And it's going to be like 2 or 3 plastic kits is what they're saying. But they actually, I believe they teased pictures of an assembled one. I know that they did of the Huey, which I'm super excited about too, because I think that I could use that in, brush wars in Africa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hueys are still kicking around all over the world. But that's also in plastic, and that one, for sure, they have teased pictures of an actual physical model, and they kind of put up pictures of them building it too, the test brews. So it looks so good, and it looks really good next to their Vietnam Marines and Viet Cong and stuff.
Oh shit!
It's like spot on.
Now that you mention it,
it's like
I need to buy those infantry guys as well.
Yes, you should. You should. I've handled them. They look awesome.
Oh, you did?
Again, the kits are 156, so they might be a little on the small side for some people's taste.
That's
I know Dan's in that camp.
Yeah,
aren't you?
A little bit flaccid on this side, but still, they're like super affordable in comparison to some 148 scale kits. So it's
affordable and probably more durable
and more detailed. I mean, I've built a lot of Rubicon kits for bolt action stuff, and
they're great.
They just look so crisp and sharp, and the options, and they're so much fun to build because I don't know the right mix of being a model kit but still for playing. So perfect.
Well, that's kind of Rubicon's shtick too, is they make kits that have multiple options in it.
Yeah.
So it's not like you need to buy like an add-on part. Although they do have kits that are like, hey, we have like the German half-track, the 251, right? And they give you like 3 options or whatever in that box, but then they're like, hey, do you want, an ambulance version? Here you go. Here's a resin add-on kit that you can do. So they do that with a lot of their kits. Yeah. So yeah, there's hope that, they're going to have a lot of stuff, but.
And they have cool additions as well, like for modelers and for gamers. Like I remember the fueling flag. They had like 2 types of guns, which were like the original size, and ones which are like thicker if you're gonna use them for playing. It's like amazing for like a model kit. I mean, for 3D printing, absolutely understandable. But yeah,
they are plastic kits, but they build them. They market their products to war gamers, and they know that we have fat fingers and we're going to break stuff. So they want to give us a product that's going to last. And, I'm a little leery of the Huey because, it's got the rotors and stuff that's really thin attachment point. But I'm sure that it's, probably durable enough. As long as I don't throw it at somebody, it'll probably be fine. They also make their kits out of ABS plastic, which is more durable than some of the polystyrene stuff or whatever other type of plastic is used in the older kits. Again, because it's more durable, right? So there's lots of fun stuff coming from Rubicon, so keep your eyes open for that. They also have been working on a game called Boca, Bend Over, Here It Comes Again, which is a Vietnam rules, and that's actually by Empress Miniatures. There's a Facebook group that, you just have to click that you want to join, and you can kind of follow along. But Empress is selling the rules, and I've been looking at a lot of the battle reports on the Facebook page, and they are looking pretty sweet. I haven't had a chance to dive into it, but it looks like a really fun game if you're into the Vietnam era. I mean, there's a lot of options out there for that. Bolt Action has a Vietnam supplement that's done by fans.
Rubicon themselves have their own Vietnam game.
Rubicon has Rubicon has rules. Now Empress has rules, and Empress has a whole range of beautiful metal miniatures for Vietnam. So if that time period interests you, check that out. And another thing that you can do along with that is I just found this company scrolling through Facebook. Finally, I guess my Facebook has figured out that I like little plastic soldiers, and it recommended this page to me. And I'm going to completely murder the name, but it is 3D Dzyn. It's 3D-DZYN. They're a US-based company that makes MDF terrain. And I think they're out of Washington or Oregon, one of the two. But they have some really cool terrain that's different from what everybody else is producing. They have some Wild West stuff if that interests you. They have some like World War II stuff like barracks and barbed wire fence and guard shacks and whatever. But the thing that interests me is their Southeast Asia line. And they're coming out with a lot of buildings that could be used kind of for Vietnam or Africa. Surprise, surprise. They're kind of that colonial look, either French or English colonial. I know those are very different styles, but you could kind of add different accessories to them to make them fit in anywhere. And they're releasing 2 kits that are like storefronts. Is their new thing that's kind of coming up.
Oh yeah, I remember where they had a really fine cutted rolling gate or roll gate.
Yeah.
This looks really really nice, yeah.
For an MDF kit, it looks stellar. It's like Dan was saying, it's got the roll gate, that covers the storefront. So that's a really cool thing that you see all over the place. I mean, that would not be out of the norm for like even
Middle East.
A Western country or Middle East. Yeah, easily.
Even Eastern Europe, they have also a lot of rolling gates.
Yeah, and it's a kit it's like 2 stories too, and it's got like accessibility into the back, and the interiors you can get into. It's got like a stairs up to it, so you can get to the second story and kind of overlook the front of the building. So there's they're very interesting, and I definitely will be tempted to buy some. I'm sure I will at some point.
More for the shelf.
More for the shelf. That's right.
I'll
buy them, maybe build them, and then put them behind me, and they sit there.
What's the Benghazi?
I don't want to talk about it.
What's the TTE freight ship? Yeah. And the cool thing, maybe it seems like I checked the page out as well. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of MDF buildings, and personally, nothing really. I mean, the rolling gates, they really catch my eye, and wouldn't be wrong. But it seems like it's like a one guy operation.
Yeah.
It's
like 1 or 2 guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is pretty cool. So yeah, check them out, support them.
It looks like they're planning on expanding their, catalog of items. Yeah. So I think that about wraps it up. I'm sure we missed stuff, but it's been a month and a half. I'll try to take better notes next month.
Yeah.
See and catch up on this stuff.
No, I mean it's fine. I guess you have no choice.
Yeah.
Look up the shit yourself, man.
Yeah, I know.
Lazy listening just to the podcast, relying all the news on us.
If you're getting your news from me, God help you.
Yeah.
God help you.
Yeah. No, then, yeah. That's gonna wrap it up for this very quick and dirty episode.
Quick and dirty 2-hour episode.
Yeah. So much for that. But it's okay.
That's okay. You're just gonna have fun editing it. That's the hard part.
Yeah. No,
Make
Sunday.
me sound good.
Eastern weekend now. So I have no family plans, parties,
Perfect.
things. So Sunday grind day. I don't wanna delay the editing again. Hey, what you laughing at? This post said it then again. And today's Sunday, just 3 months later than I promised. Yeah. Yeah. I promise the next episode will be released way faster, and yeah, if not, then I'm gonna blame Ben for it this time. But thanks for being patient with us and coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. Real life happens. I think our listeners understand that. So, as always, I can't plug this enough, but if you're interested and you are on Discord, please come check out the Ultramoderns group Discord. We'll put the link in the notes for the episode. But I think we're we're at like 200, or not 200. We're at 190 some people that are confirmed, have given the thumbs up to the rules, and are participating in stuff. Then there's like another, 30 or 40 that haven't done that. So it's been an awesome group of people, as I say every time. Come check it out.
And yeah, I don't know if I've mentioned this. We have every Wednesday. Yeah, we have mentioned in the beginning of the episode,
Yes,
but I want to mention it again. We have every Wednesday the the midweek meetup, and we just meet each other in the channel. We talk, we paint, we don't paint, we 3D build. So if you're feeling like, I need that extra motivation to finish a project, just join us, just talk with us and get motivated with the group flow every Wednesday, no matter what.
And you can talk taxes with Dan.
Yeah, taxes and
taxes and tax code, and that sounds gross.
It's not gross. It sounds grown up.
Yeah, a lot of grown up topics.
Back to toys.
So yeah, obviously there's a lot of varied conversation.
Yeah,
it just goes where it goes. But yeah, so as we always say, roll some sixes.
Roll some sixes.
Keep gaming
and painting.
You don't do that.
Don't move! Don't fucking move! Put your hands in the air! Put your hands in the air! Put them up! Get on your knees! Hey!
Bunch of cocaine. Low.
Yeah.